members allow me, pursuant to Standing Order 45, to rearrange today's order paper. We will move to order number 25. Clerk, you may proceed to call that order. Now, honorable senators, we will start with order number 23. Clerk, proceed to call that order.
Order number 23, motion. Consideration of the report of the Mediation Committee on the Food and Feed Safety Control Coordination Bill, National Assembly Bills number 21 of 2023.
The chairperson, co-chair, Mediation Committee, to move the motion.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move this motion, Honorable Speaker, of this report, that the Senate adopts the report of the Mediation Committee on the Food and Safety Control Coordination Bill, National Assembly Bill number 21 of 2023, laid on the table of the Senate on Tuesday, 28 April 2026, and that pursuant to Standing Order 1132 of the Constitution and Standing Order 1673 of the Senate approves the amended version of the bill, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, this report contains the proceedings of the Mediation Committee on the Food and Safety Control Coordination Bill, National Assembly 21 of 2023. The National Assembly considered the bill, passed it with amendments on 23rd August 2023. It subsequently transmitted its amendments to the Senate for consideration. The Senate considered and passed the bill with amendments on Thursday, 21st March 2024, and transmitted the amendments to the National Assembly seeking concurrence on 25th March 2024. The National Assembly approved the motion on the report of the Committee of the Whole House on the consideration of the Senate proceedings to the Food and Safety Control Coordination Bill, National Assembly number 21 of 2023, on 18th October 2024. The committee rejected some of the Senate amendments to the bill, warranting committal of the bill to the Mediation Committee pursuant to Article 112(2)(b) of the Constitution. The Speaker of the National Assembly appointed members to the Mediation Committee on 22nd July 2025 as required by Standing Order 1492 of the National Assembly Standing Orders, while the Speaker of the Senate appointed senators to the committee on 20th May 2025 under provisions of Standing Order 1162 of the Senate Standing Orders. The committee held one meeting to consider clauses of the bill that were under mediation and subsequently developed an agreed version of the bill in the meeting. It thereafter adopted this report in the same sitting. The committee is grateful to the Office of the Speakers and clerks of both houses of Parliament for the logistical and technical support accorded to it in the execution of its mandate. Finally, we express our appreciation to members of the committee and the committee secretariat for their patience, sacrifice, endurance, and commitment to the assignment which enabled the committee to complete the task within the stipulated period. It is now a pleasant privilege and honor to commend this report to the Houses for approval on behalf of the Mediation Committee pursuant to Standing Order 1132 of the Constitution, Standing Order 1501 of the National Assembly Standing Orders, and Standing Order 1611 of the Senate Standing Order. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Yes, thank you. Honorable Speaker, as I've just taken members through, this bill has been a thorn in the flesh of this House and the government at large. The stakeholders gave in their best for us to understand what the bill talks about value chains, about storage, about how Kenyans can benefit from this bill. And therefore, I want to request honorable members, as we proceed to adopt this motion, this bill is going to turn tables in line with the government's agenda of bottom-up to ensure the aggregation parks are valid and running, and ensure we open up the market, the international market, for our people and business people. So this bill is a vision that its time has come for Kenyans to really harvest and enjoy the fruits of this country. Honorable Speaker, I want to stop at that and request my good sister, who was a member of the bill, a member of the Mediation Committee, the Honorable Member Beatrice Ogola, to second. Thank you.
Honorable Speaker, as I second the mediation bill that has been presented by none other than the Chair of Agriculture, I want to remind all of us that agriculture is key to this republic. Honorable Speaker, through agriculture, we are able to get food security, and Honorable Speaker, with food, then we become not only a productive country, but a healthy country. Honorable Speaker, I second.
Honorable Senators, I will now propose the question that the Senate adopts the report of the Mediation Committee on the Food and Feed Safety Control Coordination Bill, National Assembly Bills number 21 of 2023, laid on the table of the Senate on Tuesday, 28th of April 2026, and that pursuant to Article 113(2) of the Constitution and Standing Order 167(3) of the Senate, approve the mediated version of the bill. Now the floor is open for debate. Honorable Senator Manzo. The Honorable Senator Fernandez.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As I support this mediated version of the bill, I want to congratulate the Chair of Agriculture and the Chief Whip of the House. I don't know why whenever we go for mediated version of our bill, senators always become the Vice Chair. I saw even in the mediated committee on the issue of division of revenue, where Captain Ale Roba is referred as the Vice Chair. Speaker, under Article 113, I think Kenyans should understand that when we have different sets of amendment to the bill, it is normally referred to the mediation committee. And Mr. Speaker, since this is a mediated version of the bill on food and feed safety control coordination bill of National Assembly number 21 of 2023, Mr. Speaker, the aspect that we are talking about this bill is very critical and very important. Mr. Speaker, when you look at the schedule that was amended and the argument of the National Assembly in the first schedule as passed on the competent authorities, including the Minister of Agriculture, Fisheries, Agriculture and Food Authority, Kenya Dairy Board, Kenya Plant Health Inspectorate Service, the Pest Control Products, the Fertilizer and Animal Food Staff Board, National Biosafety Authority, Kenya Bureau of Standards, and Veterinary Medicine. The argument is that most of these directorates, Mr. Speaker, in this amended or mediated version of the bill, Mr. Speaker, was that it has an international recognized character. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, looking at the agreement or the proposal, Mr. Speaker, between the National Assembly and the Senate on these internationally acclaimed bodies is very critical because they are internationally recognized. But, Mr. Speaker, it should not lost on us that on the issue of agriculture, Mr. Speaker, agriculture is fully devolved. In fact, on the standards and policies of running of agriculture, just like health, Mr. Speaker, the Senate or the county governments must have a bigger role. I agree with the wisdom of the Senate that the counties must and should be given opportunity on the issue on food and feed safety control, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, having looked at because I'll be very brief, the Pest Control Products Board, we need also, Mr. Speaker, because as farmers who come from Wazingishu, Nandi, Nyamira, Kisii, and many others, and Mr. Speaker, I'm happy to see Senator Onyonga, Richard, and we still pass our condolences, Mr. Speaker. But we have duly appointed him as the chair of Men's Conference in the next session of 2027 for showing that you can have as many children as you can, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, and we are proud of what you did and what you are doing for the humanity. It is to the service of the humanity. Yes. So, Mr. Speaker, including Nyamira, Kisii, where Senator Onyong, and across the country, we have a challenge, Mr. Speaker, where the pesticides, which were banned in America, are still being sold. And therefore, when you go to our regions and across the country, there is still a high cases of cancer in this country, Mr. Speaker. And the attribution has been, it is attributed to the pesticides and acaricides that we use in animal and our crops in this country, Mr. Speaker. So when I see the introduction of the Pest Control Products Board in this schedule of the 5th schedule of the amended version on the Food and Feed Safety Control Coordination Bill, Mr. Speaker, I hope they will be able to ban so that those substances that have been banned in America should not, because we are seeing there used to be a problem with Lake Victoria, especially in the fishing community, Mr. Speaker, where we used to have an algae or something that was floating and it was tickling. It is still there, Mr. Speaker, and it is still affecting the quality of the fish, Mr. Speaker. And when you come from Senator Ogola's and Senator Kajuang's area, if you don't eat the fish, Mr. Speaker, you can. So looking at the Fertilizer and Animal Food Staff Board, we must agree on the National Biosafety Authority. And Mr. Speaker, you remember when we said there were argument of signing biosafety agreement between the US and Kenya, it is included here, Mr. Speaker. Because the issue of biosafety is another security threat. You know, we are moving from military hardware to the issue of biosafety, Mr. Speaker. Another issue which I agree with the Senate and the National Assembly on the mediated version on the 5th schedule is the KEBS, Kenya Bureau of Standards, Mr. Speaker, and the Veterinary Medicine Directorate. These are some of the proposed in dealing with the matters of health and culture in the list of competitive authorities, but it should not be lost on us that I want to propose in conclusion that AFA, Kenya Dairy Board, Kenya Plant, Kenya Pest, and others, we should have representation of counties. Because as a Senate, under Article 96, Mr. Speaker, our role is to protect counties and promote their interests, Mr. Speaker. Or even on Agriculture and Food Authority, I am happy now we are creating the Sugar Board. We are creating the Coffee Board, which this House passed, and Senator Wakoli, who is the chair, pushes and ensures that the Sugar Act, Mr. Speaker, is being taken seriously. So, Mr. Speaker, and I want to agree in conclusion as I comment that our role as lawmaking house, it should not be lost on us, Mr. Speaker. When I saw justices yesterday at the High Court during the impeachment proceedings of the former Deputy President, Mr. Speaker, the judges and my own lecturer, Justice Mogambe Gitiru, Mr. Speaker, who taught me law of succession, Mr. Speaker, which is the only lecturer I recognize, others are pretenders that they taught me, Mr. Speaker, made a very critical statement that the only law-making body in this country is Parliament, Mr. Speaker. And he said it is only the role of the High Court or the judiciary of this republic, of this country, to only make recommendation and enrich the role of the Parliament in this House, Mr. Speaker. So as a House, it should not lost on us that we are the law-making House and we have the power to do the laws that is coming, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, and I'm aware that on this decision, members of the Senate should be very critical that any decision we make, including passing this mediated version of the bill, passing a statement, passing a motion, we must be very keen, Mr. Speaker, because whatever we do here, through lawmaking process, it will be subjected to a thorough, tooth and comb process in another forum, Mr. Speaker. That is why today, as we speak, a Senate is supposed to pay 50 million, Mr. Speaker, but I'm happy that we are going to appeal that decision of the High Court on the issue of fairness, Mr. Speaker, because if it comes worse to us that 50 million needs to be paid to the impeached Deputy President, Mr. Speaker, I would request Senator Sifuna Edwin Watenya to be the chief guest so that we can raise that 50 million assisted by Senator, my brother Richard Onyonga, Mr. Speaker, because even if they were to attach, if you go to the parking of the Senate, we only drive 120, the Prados of 120, which is 2 to 3 million. So you will need to take all the 40 Prados of 120 design to be able to pay impeached Deputy President 50 million that he needs. So, Mr. Speaker, I hope Senator Sifuna, although he's busy with Linda Mwananchi matters, he should avail himself to be the chief guest, and we can use this chamber to raise 50 million Kenyan plus to pay what we have been attached. The point I'm trying to make, Mr. Speaker, in conclusion, is that it shows, as a Senate, we must take our work seriously. Because if we become lax, if we don't take our matters seriously, even in our committees, Mr. Speaker, we will be subjected to another process that we will not enjoy as a country. But on this issue, on the food and safety, the public health, Mr. Speaker, in conclusion, is also a role of the counties. So when we see the rise of diarrhea and other diseases that affect food, especially food that is sold on the streets, Mr. Speaker, we must be very careful because the danger, somebody told me who is a medic, Mr. Speaker, sir, that on the aspect on food and feed, especially in Nairobi City County and major towns like Kisii, Kapsabet, Eldoret, Homa Bay, Mr. Speaker, I agree, Bungoma, and many other places, Mr. Speaker, our people like street food. In fact, personally, Mr. Speaker, I like eating chapati madondo on the street because they're always fresh, they're always made immediately, unlike where you go to Kempinski or wherever big hotels, Mr. Speaker, their food has been in the fridge. But when you want to eat a fresh fish, you go to Homa Bay town, there is that Odoterenia, Mr. Speaker, and you are able to eat a fresh fish even in Turkana. But when you go to some of these hotels, most of them are stayed in the fridge and it got food poisoning. So we must agree that on the public health concern by the county governments, under this mediated version on the food and feed safety control coordination bill, we must ensure, Mr. Speaker, I was worried when I saw in Garissa, and it is good that the Garissa senator is here, that...
Raise a point of order, Senator for Singish.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise on standing order 105, not to interrupt the Senator of Nandi, but to ask really, is he in order to make sweeping statements that fish in Kempinski, Mr. Speaker, kept in the fridge is not fresh? Is the Senator of Nandi not interfering with someone's business without proof that the fish in that hotel, Honorable Speaker, stays in the fridge and it is not fresh?
Senator Fernandez, are you in a position to back those allegations? If not, then withdraw and proceed.
Mr. Speaker, I thought you should, the senator of Wazingishu should know the use of similes, the use of semantics, English semantics. You know, for us who went to school who have produced two presidents, you must listen. I say like, I didn't say as. I say like, and I didn't even complete the sentence. So why is he imagining are mentioning the hotel in mentioning Mr. Speaker. So I think he should listen carefully.
Just conclude your thoughts and abandon that line.
Okay.
Just conclude your thoughts.
I have graciously and religiously abandoned that line. Let me finish, Mr. Speaker, because I was mentioning about the public health, because this is a very critical bill, Mr. Speaker. I saw even in Garissa, the dengue fever patients, Mr. Speaker, are sitting on the floor in an hospital. And I'm happy Senator Haji is in the house. And the governor went and just threw 1,000 to a patient and say, SHA is not working here, Mr. Speaker. We must be careful on the issue of public health, Mr. Speaker. We need to be careful so that we are not subjecting people. And I hope the people of Garissa can see the type of the governor they have, Mr. Speaker, because how do you allow in Garissa referral hospital for the patients to be sitting on the floor? You just dismiss, you don't take an accountability, Mr. Speaker. Yet the issue of public health is very important, Mr. Speaker. Even on the issue of the quality of food that we take in hospital. You saw Kenyatta National Hospital, Mr. Speaker. We must subject the public health, which is a devolved function, on the aspect of providing good quality and safe food for our people, Mr. Speaker. So food is very important, but also if food, Mr. Speaker, even as farmers who grow maize, and where Senator of Wasingishu, Senator Mandago comes from, we also must be careful on the issue of ensuring maize is well stored, Mr. Speaker, so that our farmers, our people do not consume maize that has aflatoxins, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, the National Biosafety Authority and the Kenya Bureau of Standards should and must be alert, Mr. Speaker, so that our Kenyans who continue to eat food, who continue to ensure their food is, by the time we saw, Mr. Speaker, and I'm happy the chairperson of, I think Senator Chute then brought a statement on the issue of edible oils. And when we went and inspected the edible oils that was close to 40 billion, we find almost 3/4 of the edible oils, Mr. Speaker, had been spoiled. So I want to appeal that the Kenya Bureau of Standards, the ones that protect and the quality, because, Mr. Speaker, any Kenyan, if you see the mark of KEBS, you always have confidence, Mr. Speaker, that all is well. So I want to believe, Mr. Speaker, that the county assemblies, Mr. Speaker, the county assemblies must assist us by ensuring that the public health within the departments in our county assemblies, while I sent my quick recovery notes to an MCA who was attacking Kisii, Mr. Speaker, over his political differences, we wish him quick recovery. The county assemblies, Mr. Speaker, must also take lead to ensure that the rules, the bylaws remain focused so that we can ensure the quality of services we get from the food kiosks, from the big hotels, from the meat we consume, from the maize we consume. It must be subjected to proper testing process. And I want to challenge KEBS, Mr. Speaker, Kenya Bureau of Standards, that we see the mark of KEBS anywhere in this country, Mr. Speaker. It should be a mark of quality. It should be a mark of integrity, and it should ensure that we get proper food or any service that has been given with the mark of KEBS. Mr. Speaker, to allow my colleagues also to give input on this mediated version of the bill, I want to congratulate the committee led by the Senate Whip, who is the chairperson, for the well done job, Mr. Speaker, and also challenge the mediated version where we want 454 billion to counties against what National Assembly is proposing, 420 billion to counties, in mediated that they should borrow notes from Omwami, Wakoli, so that they can understand how to negotiate better. We want counties, Mr. Speaker, to get 454 billion. And when that 454 billion, we don't want to see people stealing from counties. You saw Nairobi, one of the staff was found with 65 million in the house, Mr. Speaker, and EACC are sleeping. I know other counties, including Nandi, are worse. But the fact that we fight for the resources to go to counties, Mr. Speaker, sir, it is not a license for people to steal, for people to steal, for people to plunder, for people to commit larceny, for people to loot, for people to rip off, Mr. Speaker, We cannot allow. When I saw 65 million being taken from Shogima House over senior, Mr. Speaker, I was ashamed that what Kenyans think of us. Mr. Speaker, EACC must be taken to task, Mr. Speaker. The CEO of EACC, if they cannot arrest these people, the last time members of the Senate wanted to arrest the governor of Samburu, Mr. Speaker, although he appeared today, we were led by Senator Sifuna. If EACC cannot arrest the corrupt, we can give that job to Senator Sifuna, because you saw he used 159 when he wanted to arrest the governor, although that matter has been resolved, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we must protect the resources of our counties. We must give accountability and transparency to all the resources we contribute. Mr. Speaker, with that spirited and emotional, Mr. Speaker, comments on this fact, I beg to support the mediated version of this bill and hope as a House we pass within 7 days, His Excellency the President will be able to append the signature and become the law of the Republic of Kenya. Mr. Speaker, I yield back.
Honorable Senators, before we proceed with the debate, allow me to make the following communication. I would like to acknowledge the presence in the public gallery this afternoon of a visiting delegation of 3 teachers and 63 students from Consolata School in Nairobi County. The delegation is visiting the Senate for an academic exposition. On behalf of the Senate and my own behalf, I extend a warm welcome to the delegation and wish them a fruitful visit. Also wish to acknowledge the presence in the public gallery this afternoon of a visiting delegation of officers from various county assemblies, institutions, and state departments. The delegation comprises 27 officers who are in the Senate to undertake a training on protocol, etiquette, and events management at the Center for Parliamentary Studies and Training. Honorable Senators, the program has brought together the officers from the following institutions: the County Assembly of Mandera, the County Assembly of Siaya, Malindi Constituency Office, State Department for Blue Economy and Fisheries, State Department for Broadcasting and Telecommunication, State Department for Irrigation, Ministry of Defense, and officers from the Parliamentary Service Commission. On behalf of the Senate and on my own behalf, I extend a warm welcome to the delegation and wish them a fruitful visit. I will call upon the Senator for Nairobi City County to extend a word of welcome to the delegation from Consolata School, and thereafter the Senate Minority Leader to extend a word of welcome to the delegation drawn from various counties and state departments, in that order.
With your indulgence, Speaker, I wanted to request that you change the order of the welcomes so that I can take the contributions to the bill after the leader of my minority is done.
Sure. Minority Leader, you may proceed.
Asante sana Tahiki Speaker kwa kunipa fursa hii kuweza kujiunga na wewe pamoja na maseneta wengine kwa kuwakaribisha wanafunzi kutoka skuli ya Consolata School hapa Nairobi, na vile vile walimu waliokuja nao. Kwanza nataka kusema kwamba karibuni sana, kwa sababu hapa ndio mahali ambapo Senate inapojihusisha sana kwa kufanya kazi yake. Hususan kitu muhimu zaidi ambacho Senate huwa inafanya ni kuona ya kwamba pesa za kwenda kusaidia ama kuleta maendeleo mashinani zinapatikana, na sheria zingine mojawapo katika hiyo. Vile vile nataka kusema ya kwamba, niseme wazi kabisa ya kwamba mimi katika hii Consolata hawa waliokuja, wanafunzi waliofika, mimi niko na mtoto wangu wa kike hapo, anaitwa Tiffany Mongo Chimwaga. nataka kumwambia mtoto wangu ya kwamba ikiwa babako yuko hapa, pia wewe unaweza kuja hapa ukawa seneta kama yeye. Bora ufanye bidii sana. Wengine wanasema dynasty, lakini uongozi ni kama huo. Huyo anayesema dynasty ni yule anajulikana kwa jina la Sifuna. Na huyo Sifuna mwenyewe baba yake alikuwa hapa. Kwa hiyo mambo ya dynasty imemlenga yeye. Na kama mtoto wangu Tiffany itakulenga, pia nakutakia kila laheri katika masomo yako na juhudi zako zote, na pia wale wote waliokuja na wewe na walimu wenu, na watakia kila laheri katika usomi wenu. Nataka nyote mfaulu katika maisha yenu. Asanteni sana.
Senator Moses Kajwang, and then Senator Sifuna.
Mr. Speaker, I know my colleagues are wondering why a senator representing a village county would be welcoming students from Consolata School, a school right in the middle of the city. Mr. Speaker, I've been a parent at Consolata School. My son was at Consolata from pre-primary all the way, and Mr. Speaker, about 4 or 5 years ago, I was a chief guest at the school's prize-giving day. Mr. Speaker, I want to encourage the students from Consolata to keep up the good work. Sapienta et grace, I think that's what their motto is. Consolata is a school that teaches strong values. It is a school where the teachers are fully committed. And Mr. Speaker, I want to congratulate, before that we had Father Karoli, then Father Ochieng, Mr. Ongwai Bernard, Mrs. Grace, who have been leading the school. And I want the children to emulate the humility and the patience and the grace of their leadership, teachers, and administration. And Mr. Speaker, I'm extremely proud that whereas other schools have been shut down because the students have become agitated and they want to go home, Consolata School learning is still going on. And I just want to encourage the students and the parents at Consolata School that ultimately you cannot blame the government for everything. You cannot blame the school administration for everything. Our schools will thrive when parents take responsibility. And our parents should not confuse parenthood with education. You can get education in any school, but parenthood, parenting is the responsibility of us as parents, which cannot be delegated to the teachers, cannot be delegated to the government, and cannot be delegated to the authorities. Consolata, keep shining, a lovely school. If I was able to go back to primary school, I would not go back to Rabai Road Primary School in Jericho, where I went to. I would go to Consolata School. Unfortunately, at that point, I was a poor man, and as you know, poor men have no choices. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Sifuna.
Mr. Speaker, now that everyone is doing it, let me start by declaring that I do not have a student at Consolata. But because I am the senator for Nairobi, all of these kids who are here today are our kids. And as the area senator, I'm responsible for their welfare. I want to take this opportunity to welcome you to the Senate this afternoon, because I will take my remarks on the bill that is before this House. You follow a bit, and then we'll have a conversation out there. If you have any follow-up questions that you can ask for your experience this afternoon in the Senate. Listening to some of the contributions here, Honorable Speaker.
Proceed, Senator Sifuna, proceed. May the senator be heard in silence, please. He's merely welcoming.
You know, she might surprise me and tell me I have a child there that I'm not aware of. So I'm a bit wary of taking that point of information. Honorable Speaker, I know that for the kids and the visitors who have visited us this afternoon, listening to some of the contributions on the floor, you would not even know what we are discussing. Because although we have rules in this Senate about staying relevant to the conversation that is on the floor, people really like to digress. And I'm not going to mention anyone because you've been here and you've heard. What is actually before debate this afternoon is a mediated version of the Feed and Food Safety Control Coordination Bill. Everything else that you have heard has no relevance whatsoever to the conversation, including these unwarranted invitations for me to be a guest of honor at some fundraiser. I'm sure you were as confused as I was about what that has anything to do with food and feed control. So a mediated version of the bill for the benefit of the kids who are here, it basically means that it is legislation that both houses have to pass. First, it can either originate in the National Assembly or in the Senate, and then when it comes to the other house can make amendments. In this particular instance, it actually originated from the National Assembly. And when it came to the Senate, because this particular bill, the purpose of the bill is stated to be to provide for coordination of the public institutions in the control of food and feed safety. We in the Senate felt that the county governments have a role to play in control of food and feed safety. So what we did is we inserted a clause in that particular bill that also defined county governments and county departments as competent authorities to be able to do this job. But that was out of the feeling that we as a Senate, because if you look at Article 96 of the Constitution, our primary responsibility is to take care of the interests of counties and their governments. So because we introduced a new clause, we had to go to what we call mediation, which basically means a committee, a set of senators from this house goes to sit down with a set of members of the National Assembly and discuss and agree which final version of the bill is going to be adopted. And some of the people who are contributing here, you noticed, they were very quick to congratulate the team that we sent from the Senate. But I want you to know, and the House to know, that in fact, at that particular mediation, and this is quite interesting in the context of the other mediations that are happening, there was only one sitting of this mediation committee, and it was to agree that we drop the Senate amendments. So, personally, I would not be quick to congratulate my brother, the senator from Bungoma, Wakoli, because all we did, we sent a group of senators there to agree that the Senate amendment was unnecessary in this bill. So, whereas others will give Senator Wakoli his flowers, I personally will not do that. Because we send the teams from the Senate to put our foot down in these mediations with the National Assembly. And I wish one of these fine days we publish a list of the scores. How many of our Senate amendments actually find favor in the National Assembly? No. There are very few. How are we always the ones expected to back down? In the current mediation, for instance, of the Division of Revenue, it was a promise that was made a long time ago that in the current financial year, actually last financial year, we would add the monies that go to the counties to 450 billion shillings. How is it possible that 2 years down the line, the National Assembly is refusing to agree to that position that was settled between, of course, people don't like me talking about the expired MOU, although I'm the one who wrote it, between UDA and ODM. One of the clauses there would that we would get to 450 in the last financial year. 2 years down the line, why are we fighting with Treasury and the National Assembly on the 450 billion? How is it not possible for a change that the mediated version of the Division of Revenue is also arrived at in one meeting where they just go and accept the Senate position? So whereas we are always giving concessions to the National Assembly proposals, we don't get the same courtesy. They don't extend us the same favor because they feel that we as a House do not have the sort of powers that they have. But I am feeling, Honorable Speaker, that we as a Senate should also sometimes put our foot down because there was proper thinking that went into that amendment to involve the county governments and their departments in the control of food safety. If you look at the licensing regime, just to open that kiosk that somebody says they go to eat madondo and chapati, it requires licensing by the county governments. When there is an outbreak of disease here, it is expected that our county governments are the ones to coordinate efforts to ensure that people receive treatment. So I do not agree with the proposal that somehow county governments do not have a role to play in control of food safety. And the members of the committee, led by Senator Wakoli, maybe you will give us context as to why the National Assembly felt that county governments are not competent authorities in terms of the Feed and Food Safety Control Coordination Bill to be able to prevent or to help in the prevention of those issues. So for me, I want to stop there. We want to listen to members of the committee. It's a very brief report. They just dropped the Senate amendment, and we would want to understand why.
Senator Sifuna, would you like to be informed by
I think
our intelligent Senator Beatrice?
Because she's insisting and she's from my political party and she's a lady, I don't want to appear like I'm not a gentleman. Let's hear what she has to say, Honorable Chair.
Yes, Senator Beatrice, you may proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and thank you, Senator Sifuna, for allowing me to give this information. And Senator Sifuna, I wanted to give this based on the welcoming remarks you are giving to the Consolata School. Honorable Speaker, this is a school that has very well values that we must celebrate as they visit Parliament today. Senator Sifuna, you need to remind the school, and we need to celebrate their traditions. Honorable Speaker, this is the only school that allowed the children of our late party leader, one Raila Amolo Odinga, when the wife was chased away from the Ministry of Education then, and her children would not be allowed to be admitted into any school. It is only the Consolata School, after Dr. Ida Betty Odinga insisted and packed in the principal's office for more than 3 days. No school would take Raila's children in. They were chased away from all schools, and it is only the Consolata School that admitted Rosemary Odinga, that admitted Junior Odinga, and we must celebrate them because they came out as a school that practiced inclusivity, that did not discriminate at any Kenyan. And Honorable Speaker, that is why I had to give that information. And I'm a Catholic too, so keep to those values. We are proud of you. The whole nation is proud of you, and the school will forever remain in the history books of this country. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Senator Sifuna, now you have the benefit of that information.
Yeah, the students from Consolata will determine the value of that information, but it's helpful to know, because I thought the information she was giving was with regards to the bill or areas to do with the reason why our amendments were dropped. But it's fine.
Senator Sifuna, information is information, and you have been accorded that important information.
Yeah, I accept and acknowledge. I just want to conclude by saying that whereas the conversation even amongst within the public now is what is going on with our schools. One of the things I learned, Honorable Speaker, I visited a school in Makadara called Our Lady of Mercy. And the things I learned is that we also need to listen to these students. It is very interesting, the perspectives they have about the environment in the schools. When I was there at AWA, as they call themselves, after listening to all the presentations from the teachers about the need for a new house for the principal, a bakery machine, and so on and so forth, those young girls just pulled me to the side and told me, Sifuna, please go to the Senate and tell the Senate that we want our hair to be plaited. And whereas you think that's a small issue, when these events have been happening, increasingly I'm seeing from other schools, those girls saying we want to be allowed to plait our hairs. So when we also get into this debate, let's learn to listen to these young people. They might give you a perspective that you have not seen in order for us to be able to resolve this crisis. I thank you, Honorable Speaker, and allow me to do my duty as a Senator of Nairobi by going to engage those young ladies outside, because there are unique things that the Senator from Homa Bay might not know about our children here in Nairobi. Thank you.
Thank you. And you may invite that Senator Kajwang to also get to learn about the students and the schools in Nairobi. Senator Mungatana.
I want to thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to also say my opinions on this mediated version of this bill. Madam Speaker, I want to pick it up from where Sifuna left it. If you look, the only amendment that the Senate proposed was, I will read, each county government department dealing with matters relating to agriculture, and 3B, each county department dealing with matters relating to health, that they be included as part and parcel of the food and biosafety control authorities. Madam Speaker, the competent authorities that have been listed there are 11 of them. And if you look at them, they are all from the national government. You'd see the Kenya Bureau of Standards, the Veterinary Medicines Directorate, the Fertilizer and Animal Foodstuffs Board, the Pest Control Products Board, KEFIS, the Kenya Dairy Board, and so on. But the ones that the Senate wanted included was the departments relevant to the counties to be included as competent authorities. And Madam Speaker, this one amendment that we proposed so that we can assert the presence of the Senate was dropped by our mediation team. I would be very interested to hear, and I've tried to engage our chair, the Honorable David Wakoli, but I've not heard his explanations. Madam Speaker, if you look, and I want to give a very practical example. I went to primary school in Mombasa, part of it, and in those years, we used to complete primary school in class 7. And so standard 5, 6, and 7, I did it in boarding school in Tana River in my village school called Arap Moi Primary School, Ngao, which is a very old school that the missionaries started when they came to bring Christianity in that part of the world. Madam Speaker, when we were in the primary school, we would notice a very strange smell of kerosene in the food that we used to consume. And that kerosene was always in the bins. We came to learn later that there were some hidden reasons why kerosene was being put in those bins. Apparently it was to control, let me say, to control the boys. And Madam Speaker, that is food safety right there in my village in Tana River County. So, will the National Biosafety Authority reach Tana River County? Madam Speaker, they are not there. These authorities that have been put, and I want to read them out. The Agriculture and Food Authority, do they have presence in Tana River County? They don't. KEFIS, does it have presence in Tana River County, Madam Speaker? This is the Kenya Plant Health Inspectorate Service. So if we need seed testing, certification, phytosanitary certificates or services, are we able to get them at that level in the county? No, except in Tana River County now there's Bura irrigation scheme, you can get a small place there. But food safety for all our boarding schools, Madam Speaker, if you are talking about people in the county, they can do inspections in various boarding schools without warning. They can come and check what is happening. But can the Biosafety Authority from Nairobi come all the way to Tana River County to check? They can't. They don't have presence. Madam Speaker, the Fertilizer and Foodstuff Board, the Kenya Bureau of Standards, the Veterinary Medicines Directorate, do they have presence in the county? No. Is agriculture devolved? Yes. Is health devolved? Yes. Public health is in the counties. So are these people, these institutions at the national level, are they able to go down to the county and make sure that what is consumed by our schools in boarding, what is consumed by our villagers is safe. Those kiosks that are selling things within our villages in Tana River County, Madam Speaker, are they safe? Obviously, these authorities are not there. Is the county government able to do it? Yes, Madam Speaker. Even if it is impromptu, once in a while, they can check in the market to see if safety standards for food is being adhered to. Madam Speaker, I am honestly disappointed that the Senate team we sent for the mediation went and dropped the requirement that our county authorities should be involved in food safety products and checking that those authorities are involved so that we have safety in our food. Madam Speaker, I don't expect KBS to come all the way to Tana River or most of these counties. They will have only presence in Mombasa, and because there's a port there. Otherwise, they will not come to check what kind of standards in food or any other product down at the counties. What was wrong with including the county authorities in this bill? So, Madam Speaker, I feel that we should have put our foot down, and I am persuaded that this wasn't done. If only one meeting took place in this mediation committee, and then everything was unanimously agreed, I've just read the report, then, Madam Speaker, at least we'd have had a divergent opinion on that matter. I don't believe that there is a very good reason why our county authorities should not have been involved. Madam Speaker, looking at the reasoning, the rationale they gave, they said international organization, county authorities are not recognized. Therefore, they should be dropped, and that amendment from the Senate should be dropped. Madam Speaker, these other authorities were there. What was wrong with just adding, for the sake of the safety of the food in our counties? Madam Speaker, I'm not persuaded, as Senator for Tana River, that all these authorities are present in Tana River County and they will ensure food security in my county. I believe that the county authorities should have been invited to be part and parcel of the safety standards maintenance as far as food is concerned. So, Madam Speaker, for me, I do not support this report. I think this report has left me bewildered. And unless, Madam Speaker, we are given a very good reason, I think this was rushed. If people went inside just one meeting, Madam Speaker, and accepted, I think it was rushed and it wasn't proper. And then, Madam Speaker, at the very minimum, they would have said, let all these national bodies have presence in the counties so that we can ensure there is food safety. This was not secured. People just dropped that amendment, and they have come back with this report to say, let us approve it so that it goes to the president for signing. And yet we know that it will not be effective at the county. I will personally vote against this, Madam Speaker, and I think the committee didn't do a good job. They went there for only one day, only one meeting. They didn't have a divergent opinion. They went and dropped the Senate amendment, and they didn't give us a good reason. The rationale that these county authorities are not recognized, it's not holding, because the national authorities would have been there. In addition to that, for the safety of our food, of our people in Tana River County and other counties, in our villages, we should have included county authorities so that they can be able to have checks and balances, or even impromptu checks. I don't expect, Madam Speaker, that this national authority, at the National Biosafety Authority, to come all the way to my village shop to check. They will not. But I know the county authorities can visit at least the top villages, the top towns in the villages, to check if the food we are consuming is safe. They can visit boarding schools and check if the food is proper, but not the National Biosafety Authority, not all these authorities that have been listed here. So, Madam Speaker, for me, I feel this mediated, this version of this bill was rushed, and personally, I have not seen any, good explanation from the report. And Madam Speaker, I oppose this mediated version. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Mungatana. Senator Kajwang.
Madam Speaker, I also rise to comment on the report of the Agriculture Committee on the mediated version of the Food and Feed Safety Control Coordination Bill. Madam Speaker, it must be noted that when this bill came from the National Assembly, having been sponsored by Majority Leader Kimani Ichung'wah in May 2023, it was transmitted to the Senate in March 2024, and the Senate made its decision on it in 2024. The Senate proposed 3 amendments, and the first was an amendment to Clause 22, Clause 25, and an amendment to the first schedule. What was contentious was the amendment to the first schedule, which listed county governments as competent authorities. Madam Speaker, competent authorities under the bill are supposed to support and assist and work with these newly created food safety controller, because the bill creates an office of food safety controller, and so the competent authorities are the ones that are supposed to work with the food safety controller to ensure that the provisions of the bill are implemented and enforced. Madam Speaker, the Senate in its wisdom felt that county governments, because they are already involved in the food safety space, would also be a competent authority. Today, if Mama Onyango wanted to sell fish somewhere in Kayole, there are at least 3 licenses that the county government must provide. It will be the single business permit. Mama Onyango will also have a food handler's certificate issued by the county government. And Mama Onyango's stall must also have a food hygiene license. So county governments are already in that space. And Madam Speaker, I believe that is the wisdom that the Senate had in amending that first schedule and listing county governments as competent authorities. In the wisdom of the Mediation Committee, the Mediation Committee concluded that Section 16 of the bill already gives detailed functions to county governments in relation to food and feed safety. And Madam Speaker, that is not in dispute. What I find a bit uncomfortable, Madam Speaker, is the framing of the mediated position that says that designating county governments as competent authorities is redundant and structurally inconsistent. It's very strong wording for county governments. And Madam Speaker, the mediated version...
Senator Kajwang, sorry to interfere with you when you're on your feet. Please move to the dispatch box. Your mic is not working very well.
Should I start from the top?
Yes, you should move to the dispatch. Yes.
Do I start from the beginning?
No. Just continue from where you had reached.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, as I was saying, that in the wisdom of the Senate, we felt it was important that we amend the first schedule to make county governments a competent authority. And competent authorities are supposed to help the controller or the food safety controller to implement and to enforce the provisions of the bill. Madam Speaker, whereas I agree that county governments have already been given detailed functions in the bill under Section 16, sometimes the wording of the consensus can be a bit dangerous, because the Mediation Committee says that designating county governments as competent authorities is redundant and structurally inconsistent. And then it goes ahead and says that county governments lack international recognition and are administratively subordinate to national institutions. Madam Speaker, the wording of that consensus is a bit dangerous. Madam Speaker, we must ask ourselves, what is the role of public participation in mediation? Would we then require, where we have provided a clear role, clear function for county governments, and the other house opposes it and says that that role is redundant, that role is structurally inconsistent, and the other house says that county governments are administratively subordinate to national institutions, shouldn't we consult? Shouldn't we talk to the county governments? Our job is to defend and protect the interests of counties and their governments. Madam Speaker, there is a missing link when it comes to mediation. Sometimes we do things which are just elite consensus. Even right now on the division of revenue bill, where mediation is ongoing, Madam Speaker, I saw the latest report that the National Assembly had offered 5 billion more to go to 425 billion, and the Senate had reduced our numbers by 14 billion so that we are at 440 billion. And sometimes you ask, what is the scientific basis? Is there any algorithm that guides us in mediation, or it's just a consensus among elites? We need to review our standing orders now that it has been a subject of litigation, including yesterday in the High Court. We saw our standing orders being questioned, and ask ourselves, if there's a significant matter that requires mediation between the two houses, is it that the two houses are competent to come up or cobble up deals without calling other parties into the picture? What if today the Senate was to agree that counties should get 420 billion, for example? What implication does it have on the operations of counties? And therefore, Madam Speaker, my only concern is that for us to make that very radical recommendation that county governments are administratively subordinate to national institutions, and some of them are institutions established by statute, and yet county governments are established under the Constitution, it can form a dangerous precedent. How I wish that the mediation committee would have perhaps retreated. And I've seen in cases where we have serious mediation on DORA, sometimes you retreat and call stakeholders in that space and tell them that, this is a situation in mediation, this is what we are proposing, tell us how it's going to affect you. But nonetheless, Madam Speaker, also bills are taking too long. Even though I'm saying that perhaps it should take longer in mediation by doing public participation. This particular bill was sponsored in 2023, and it's a government bill sponsored by the Leader of Majority. It is 3 years. A government bill takes 3 years, Madam Speaker. You can imagine how long it will take for a private member's bill. And so we must also look at some of these timelines to ensure that we fast-track the processing of bills. Madam Speaker, whereas I cannot fault the committee, because when we send a mediation committee, when we send our members to mediation, we send our best. And if we send the chair of the Agriculture Committee, we believe that there could be a basis for that climbing down. And I think it must also be noted that two of the Senate amendments, the National Assembly agreed with them. But Madam Speaker, I hope we could temper the language. We could temper the language by not calling county governments redundant and structurally inconsistent and administratively subordinate to national institutions. And how I wish we would have gotten written submissions from the Council of Governors. And Madam Speaker, it must be made clear that this House does not represent the interest of governors. It represents the interest of counties and their governments. There's a clear distinction between that and the interest of individual governors. So there could be errant governors out there who are doing all sorts of bad things, saying bad things about the Senate, but this Senate must always stand up and must always advocate the interests of counties and their governments. And so, Madam Speaker, I want to assure the Council of Governors that we will not accept legislation or amendments that make county governments subservient or make county governments appear to be subordinate to national institutions. Madam Speaker, I do support, unlike my colleagues, I do support because I believe a lot of thought was put into this, but also urge that when regulations come, those regulations must clearly allow county governments to continue doing what they need to do. Madam Speaker, part of the rationale behind this bill was to harmonize the food safety space. As I indicated, that Mamonyango selling fish needs at least 3 licenses: the single business permit, the food handler certificate, and then there's another one called the food hygiene license. Madam Speaker, we must unify these things. We must collapse them so that Mamonyango with one single business permit is able to continue selling a fish by the roadside instead of making compliance expensive and making compliance look like something that you have to have a PhD to achieve. That was the original intention of the bill, and I do hope that you can speedily enact it so that those of us or our people, our parents, our relatives who are in the food handling space can have a much more unified and smooth terrain for operation. Madam Speaker, I support.
Thank you, Senator Ojo. Senator Okenyuri.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity. I also wish to comment on this mediated version report and just say that I support the intention of this bill because the major essence is trying to make it easier for our friends and family who are in the food and feed space so that it's cheaper for them rather than them having to incur license fees in different categories. It makes it shorter. But then, Madam Speaker, I want to note what Senator Kajwang just mentioned, that when you actually look at the agreed observation, and the wording was so strong that we actually lose the reason why we had our colleagues represent us on that mediation committee, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, counties have a primary role in the issue of food and feed safety, Madam Speaker. So when we agree that unanimously the position of the National Assembly prevails and leave out the role that county governments play, because county governments, Madam Speaker, primarily are the ones who are conducting inspection. We have slaughterhouses that are coming up. We have people opening kiosks that are, preparing food. And county governments are looking at all these vendors who are running these businesses. Madam Speaker, I feel like on that we actually dropped our guard by agreeing that county government, the county departments of health and agriculture are not recognized internationally. That should never have been a reason as to why we drop our position. Probably we should have seen on how best this can be worded so that still the role of counties is captured, because county governments are primary competent authorities, Madam Speaker. So I wish to support the intention of this bill, but express my dissatisfaction that the role of county governments is not well captured in this, and the wording of this report does not show a reconciliatory or mediated version. Madam Speaker, it goes ahead to say that, the rationale why this position was dropped is that county departments of health and agriculture are not recognized internationally, and these departments report to competent authorities. Madam Speaker, I have already expressed my dissatisfaction on the same, but I hope that this bill is going to address so many of those gaps that we have been having, so that we ensure that even our people who are consuming some of this product are consuming safe products, and the ones who are producing are also producing at an affordable cost that is not going to, make it very difficult for them. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Senator Esi. Honorable Senators, I have a communication from the Chair on the visiting delegation of teachers and students from Anessens High School in Uasin Gishu County. Honorable Senators, I would like to acknowledge the presence in the public gallery this afternoon, a visiting delegation of 10 teachers and 77 students from Anessens High School from Uasin Gishu County. the delegation is visiting the Senate for an academic exposition. On behalf of the Senate and on my own behalf, I extend a warm welcome to the delegation and wish them a very fruitful visit. I thank you. And I want to welcome Senator Madago from Wasinigishu to welcome the delegation.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I wish to join you and take this opportunity on behalf of my colleagues, the senators, to welcome the teachers and the students of Anderson's Secondary School, Madam Speaker. This is a school in Ainapwe constituency, Honorable Speaker, and it's one of our best schools, one of our old schools that has produced luminaries in our county and in our country, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I wish them a very fruitful, successful trip in their study and in their quest to undertake benchmarking in the Senate. I also want to encourage the students that today you sit in the gallery, you work hard, you are disciplined, make sure you are not among those who intend to ban their schools. You will be one of the senators sitting here, or probably the speaker sitting in where the speaker is sitting today. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for that opportunity. Asante sana.
Thank you very much. Now I want to invite Senator Onyonka to take the mic.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. First of all, I want to say thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. I would like to contribute to this very important discussion. Madam Speaker, I have listened carefully to the contributions which have been made by my colleague, Honorable Mungatana. I have also listened to Honorable Kajwang raise the same issue. And to be honest with you, Madam Speaker, this is a very weighty matter. This issue is a matter that has been plaguing the country. I remember for the last, it should have been 10 years ago when there was a question about what do we do in terms of standardizing food security. Standardizing food security and treatment of this food vis-a-vis its management. I have not looked at all the detail of the bill. I've looked at the preamble and the discussions which have taken place. Madam Speaker, honestly, we have an issue about our food. Number one, from the harvesting of the food, whether you're looking at the cereals, whether you're looking at the products which are being consumed, whether it's wheat, whether it's sugar. And indeed, the responsibility of the packaging and management of this food is normally by Kenya Bureau of Standards. And yet, Madam Speaker, we've always had challenges with Kenya Bureau of Standards. And many people have always criticized what Kenya Bureau of Standards has done and what have been the challenges involved and how they have handled the food. And Mr. Speaker, you know, severally, we have found that food is brought into the country that has not been inspected. You've had cases where individuals are found to be holding sugar which has come out of the country without any inspection. We know that right now we have several county governments that are actually processing milk and supplying this milk to our primary school children. Some of this milk we are being told is coming in as powder and some of it is actually fake. Nobody responds to these things. We have issues about Kenya's involvement with the GMO sector, genetically modified foods. And yet the Plant Safety Agency and all the other agencies have never come out to actually literally issue statements or even correct or even just talk about what is being done that is right or wrong. And of course, Mr. Speaker, when you come to the goods which are being imported into the country, whether these foods are eggs, whether these foods are sugarcane, whether it is meat, these, I think, this House must take responsibility. And the reason why the chair, who is really my brother and friend, has made his presentation, but I am worried about how we package our food. I grew up as a young child seeing meat being hung out of a wall in a place where you see flies and animals, and that's normal. And yet in this bill and this negotiated, mediated discussion that has come up, I have not seen anywhere where it's being discussed what we are going with the way we handle meat. We are handling our meat through abattoirs. The abattoirs are the places where the meat is being cleaned. If you go to some of them, you will find that even running water doesn't exist. So these are things that I think, Chair of the Department of Agriculture, how I wish that we would have spent more time as the Senate, even some of us who are not in your committee, so that we can actually begin to seriously look at what do we do with our food. And the fear I have is, with the way we are managing our food, we just need to have a calamity like Ebola, which is food-based. And then once you've killed 200,000 people, that's when we will come and sit and say, let's sit down and discuss what to do with this. Therefore, I would like to say, yes, we understand the challenges. We know what needs to be done. Some of us understand because most of us are from this sector and we have studied most of these things. I think, Mr. Speaker, we now need to look at what role the Senate can perform in terms of packaging of food, in terms of management, treatment of food, in terms of growing the food. Are we using GMO seeds? What are the effects? What is the research? Have we got stakeholders to come and tell us how we are managing this food? Or are we just managing our food industry as a sector where we just need to make money and where many of us have an interest and we are not interested at all to make sure that our poor people are protected because they are vulnerable? Even some of the imports, we are getting so many people. If you listen and discuss, KEFIS, you look at the AFA, you look at all the agencies, CALRO, these are government agencies that have got a responsibility to make sure that they provide Kenyan members or the Kenyan public the services the Kenyan public deserves. And yet, we constantly fail our country. And finally, Chair, I want to say that I am uncomfortable because most of our food processing plants, abattoirs, are county-based. And yet, if you go to, I can give you, Chair, if you go to where we are actually slaughtering our cows, a place called Suneka and one place in Kisii town, which is called Darajambili, the only person you're going to see is the veterinary officer. How the meat leaves the place. And right now, many of the food is packaged in pickups, thrown in a box system where the thing is put in. Even putting meat into a cooling plant or a cooling vehicle so that it's transported at the highest hygiene standard does not matter. I remember when I was growing up, Chairman, we used to have meat inspectors on the highways. Right now, I don't think there's any of us in this house who can stand up and say whether they know the meat they ate last night was from donkey or zebra or cow. And these are things we have to be concerned about as leadership. With those very, very many remarks, Mr. Speaker, I would like to say that I hope that my team members in this House are actually going to look at this issue seriously and come up with interventions and mitigations that are going to make sure that food consumption and utilization of food services in our country are standardized so that if somebody comes out of this country and arrives, whether they've come from Europe or whatever, they should at least be sure that our food is sanitized, it's served well, it is clean, and it has no other issues which would injure the health of our people. With those few remarks, I want to say, Madam Speaker, I will support, but I hope that the committee will be able to do much more than you've done so far. Thank you.
Now, honorable senators, before I allow further debate on this motion, allow me to make the following communication. Honorable senators, I have the following communication to make. The communication relates to the judgment of the High Court, Constitutional and Human Rights Division at Nairobi, Constitutional Petition number E565 of 2024. the Honorable His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua and 57 others versus the Speaker of the National Assembly, the National Assembly of Kenya, the Speaker of the Senate of Kenya, and 23 others, delivered yesterday, the 8th of June 2026, and extensively covered in the print and electronic media since then. Honorable Senators, it is noted that from the onset that the Speaker of the Senate